My name is Lin Hao. I was originally a little transparent person from Xuantian sect. To put it bluntly, I am a waste. The big man who is so low that he is even looking down on the ground, he usually is either bullied by his elder brother or is cold-eyed by his younger sister in the sect. As a result, today's day finally forced me into a desperate situation. Lin Hao, if you leave such a waste in Xuantian sect, it is simply to defile our reputation. In the center of the hall, the old ancestor Xuantian's face was as cold as ice, and the sound was filled with contempt. His eyes swept over me, as if he was looking at a piece of garbage, and the younger brothers and sisters next to him burst into laughter. The ancestor said it right. This guy has been practicing for 3 years and can't even attract energy into his body. Do you still have the nerve to call him a disciple of Xuantian sect? Haha. I heard that he couldn't even beat the low-level spirit beast in his last mission. He was slapped in one claw and killed everyone. I lowered my head, my fists clenched, and it seemed like I had been stabbed by a knife thousands of times in my heart. I know I am poor, but I have worked hard. Every day, I get up before dawn to practice, and stay up until midnight to learn the exercises, but when I practice, I just keep my hair moving. I am unwilling to give up, but these sarcasms are harder than not practicing. From today, Lin Hao is no longer a disciple of my Xuantian sect. He will never come back. Xuantian's ancestor shook his hand, and a spirit directly slaps me out of the hall and throws it to the ground. His bones almost disintegrate. I got up, my mouth was covered in blood, and I looked up at the group of people. Their laughter dripped into my ears like a magic sound, and some even spitted and compared me with a middle finger. Come on, waste, don't be here to lose people. I gritted my teeth, said nothing, and dragged my scarred body away from the sect. On the path behind the mountain, the wind was shaved like a knife, and my heart was colder than this wind. I have never had any father or mother since I was a child. Xuantian sect is my only home. Now I have no such only support. Where can I go? As I walked, my feet slipped down and I rolled down the hillside and fell into a smelly mountain. He was covered in mud and his clothes were torn. I sat at the bottom and couldn't help but sneer, God, do you really look down on me? Do you even give me a way out? As I was about torn, I suddenly saw a little green light beside me, as if something was shining. I crawled over and saw that there were actually a green bead lying in the bottom mud, about the size of a chicken egg, with a faint light flowing on the surface, which was not simple to see. What's this? I lifted up, wiped the mud on it, and it was warm and there was a strange fragrance. I was just worried when a sudden buzzing sound in my brain, as if struck by lightning, and then a soft sound came up. Hey, little brother, congratulations on getting to the Chaos Green cover. My name is Xiaoqing. It is your own soul. From today on, you will be my master. I was trembling with a scare, and the bead almost fell to the ground. I looked around and saw that there was no one. Who is talking? Don't be fooled. Don't look for it, I'm in your brain. The sound of the sound came up again, with a little skin regulating. I am the spirit of Chaos Green Leaf. This bead is from ancient times. Many big shots in the fairy world have not been slapped. Now it's a good deal. I was stunned when I heard it, the treasure of the fairy world. Is it still cheaper? Why is this so unreliable? Don't scare me, I'm just a waste. Where does the weather bring such a good thing? Oh, believe it or not. Anyway, you have taken the green seeds, and the spiritual passage in your body has been opened by me. Xiaoqing's voice was a little proud. If you don't believe it, try it. Take a look at the energy. Can you absorb the spiritual passage? I was half believing and half doubted, and sat down according to the plate of her legs, closed my eyes and moved the basic skills of Xuantian sect. As a result, I was in a state of air, and there were countless small lights in my body. It felt like I had been hungry for a few days and suddenly had a full meal. Every hair on my body was so comfortable that it was about to explode. Cross. What's this happening? I suddenly slid my eyes, feeling like I had changed myself, full of strength, and the air sounded sweet. Are you surprised? This is the awesome place of Chaos Qinglianzi. Xuantian smiled like a little fox. Your current spiritual absorption speed is hundreds and thousands of times faster than those so-called geniuses. Waste? It doesn't exist. It won't take long before you can step on that Xuantian Ancestor under your feet. My heart was shocked, and the scene of being humiliated in the hall was flashed in my brain, and the ridicule of my brothers and sisters, and the flames were scattered. Yes, why do I have to die? I have such a terrifying thing now. Who dares to look down on me? Try your strength. There is a big stone in front of you. Smash it and see. Xuantian urged. I stood up and walked towards a huge rock half a man high, and I felt a little scared. I took a deep breath, clenched my fist, and gathered wildly on my arm, and then punched me hard. Bang! With a huge sound, the rocks exploded into a pile of slag, and the dust of soil flew, and I was shocked to retreat 2 steps. When I looked down, I saw that there was no skin on my fist. Bottle. I'm open. I stared at my hand, my brain full of disbelief. This kind of power was never dared to think about before, but now it really belongs to me. Isn't it? That's just the beginning. Xuantian's voice was filled with pride. In the future, when you practice at a higher level, don't say that smashing stones or mountain heads is like playing. My heart was beating fast, and a fire seemed to ignite in my blood. Yes, I can't be a waste anymore. Those who look down on me, I want one to get back to the scene. Ancestor Xuantian, wait, one day, I will make you kneel down and beg me. Just as I was thinking, I suddenly heard a few familiar sounds coming from my feet anyway. I heard that Lin Hao was rushed out of the sect and went straight to the mountain. What a relief. That's right, this kind of garbage should be a dog. Let's come here to see if he's crying. As soon as I heard it, my face suddenly became cold. These people who speak are the same people who usually like to bully me the most. The one who leads is a guy named Zhang Quang. He relies on his inner disciples and beat me up. I stood up, patted the mud on my body, and sneered out of the corner of my mouth. Okay, since you are here, don't blame me for the new account and the old account together. Who is talking there? Zhang Quang walked up to me, looking at me, and a contemptuous smile appeared on his face. Isn't this a waste of Lin? Why, I haven't died when I fell into the mountain. Waste, today, my ancestor swept you out, why are you still swaying here? Another guy named Li Feng followed him, holding a stick in his hand and pointing at my nose. I looked at their terrible looks, and the fire in my heart could no longer be suppressed. I couldn't beat him before, but now. Who is the waste, I'll know right away. Zhang Quang, Li Feng, your mouth is so smelly. Isn't anyone teaching you how to be a human being? I took a step forward, and the sound was so cold that it could freeze. Zhang Quang was stunned for a moment, then laughed. How dare you talk to me? Brothers, beat me up and let him know what it means to be tall and thick. Several people came over and Zhang Quang punched me on the face, and Li Feng greeted me with a stick. In the past, I could only get beaten with my head, but now, I just think their movements are as slow as turtles. I flashed my body, avoided Zhang Quang's fist, grabbed Li Feng's stick with his hand, and squeezed Li Feng's stick with a little force, and with a click, the stick broke into 2 pieces. What? Li Feng was so scared that his eyes were almost glaring out, and Zhang Quang was also confused. With this ability, how dare you come and ask me for trouble? I sneered, and my spirit rushed in my body. I raised my hand and slapped it. Bang! Zhang Quang was suffocated directly by me, and 5 red fingerprints on his face fell to the ground and screamed. When several other guys saw this, their legs were so scared that they crawled backwards. Lin Hao! Why did you become so damn? Zhang Quang covered his face, his voice trembling. Why are you so bad? That's just the beginning. I walked over step by step, and the pressure made them breathless. How did you bully me in the past? Today I doubled down and come back. After saying that, I kicked Zhang Quang in the chest. The guy flew 5 or 6 meters away, hit the tree, and spit out a mouthful of old blood, and couldn't even scream. Waste? Ha, now see clearly, who is the waste? I looked down at them from a high place, clenched my fists. The affliction in my heart finally ejaculated at this moment, and I felt so refreshed that I felt so simple. Lin Hao, we are blind, please let us go. Li Feng knelt on the ground and knocked his head with a crying voice. The others also asked for help, but there was no more than half a moment. I snorted coldly, and I had to take care of this helping goods again, and turned around and left. But I secretly swear in my heart that this is just the first step. Xuantian sect, Xuantian Ancestor, you wait, I, Lin Hao, will come back soon and step on your face under my feet. I didn't get far away, and Xiaoqing's voice sounded in my brain again. Little brother, you did a pretty job. But this is just a little bitch. Next, you have to find a real expert to get stronger faster. Master? Where can I find it? I browed and couldn't touch my head. Don't be anxious. Walking eastward, there is an unknown old man named Mr. Yun. He is very capable. Learn 2 tricks from him to ensure that you will suddenly enter. Xiaoqing said with a smile. I clicked my head and a fire ignited in my heart. Okay, Yun isn't it? I'll go find him now. No matter how much trouble there is, I have to stay away from it and let those who look down on me shut up. The mountain roads on the east side were getting more and more deserted, with winds swaying, and the trees on both sides were shining, as if they were burned by something. I wrapped my robes tightly, and I didn't stop walking, and I was still smirking the scene where I just beat Zhang Quan up to fine teeth. It's really good, but I also know that this little thing is nothing to do with a little bit. The big guy like Xuantian Ancestor can kill me by just moving his fingers. If I want to take revenge, I have to become stronger. Xiaoqing, where is this old man Yun? Don't you fool me, right? I walked around my brain and asked. After all, this little girl sometimes doesn't feel reliably. Oh, little brother, what's the hurry? Old Yun is a master of the world. Of course he won't live in the city. Xiaoqing's voice was still so soft, with a little slight. If you walk a few more miles, there is a broken wall in front. When you arrive, you will know that I'm not cheating you. Break the widow? Okay, I hope it won't be another pit. I murmured and speeded up my pace. Actually, I have some expectations. If I really meet an awesome master to teach me 2 tricks, then I will never be able to leave the Xuantian Ancestor. After about half a time of leaving, I saw a broken small wall in front of me. Half of the doors were lost, and the wall was covered with cracks, as if it was about to collapse at any time. I was about to go in and take a look, but a sudden buzz sound in my brain. Xiaoqing's voice became quick, beware. There is danger. What? I felt nervous, and I stopped suddenly, and just wanted to retreat. A few black shadows suddenly appeared at the door, as fast as a ghost, and rushed me over. Lin Hao, die! The black shadow in his head let out a low voice, and the long sword in his hand held a cold light and slashed directly at my brain. I looked closely and said, damn, isn't this Qinji, a disciple of Xuantian sect? This guy usually gets along with Zhang Quan and doesn't bother me anymore. Now he's actually chasing me here. Looking for death. I snorted coldly, my body instinctively reacted, and my spirit instantly gathered on the fist, and I avoided the sword light from my side, and then I punched hard at Qinqi's chest. Bang! Qinqia was punched by me, hitting the broken wall, making a sound, and bleeding from the corner of his mouth. But the few black shadows behind him didn't stop. The weapons in his hand were varied, including swords and guns, and a guy threw out a spiritual talisman and turned into a fireball and smashed it towards me. Bored, is this really fun? I burst into tears and jumped quickly. The fireball swept over my shoulders, blowing the ground into smoke. Although my power surged with the blessing of Chaos Green Celery, I didn't have any serious experience in fighting. Facing these well-trained guys, I was a little busy for a while. Little brother, don't panic. Qinglianzi is not just making you stronger. Xiaoqing's voice suddenly burst out, with a little excited, concentrate, I will teach you a move, Qinglianzi. Gather the spirit into the palm of your palm, and then slapped it out to ensure that they cried and called their parents. As soon as I heard it, my eyes lit up, and as she said, I closed my eyes for a second, felt the spirit inside my body gathering in the palm of my right hand like a flood, and then suddenly slid my eyes and slapped the guy holding the knife recently. Room. A blue light burst out from my palm, like a blooming flower, instantly swept the group of people with swords, hitting the tree 10 meters away, and dying directly. When several other people saw this, their faces changed, and Qin even gritted his teeth and shouted, "Lin Hao, where does this waste come from? Tell me, did you steal the secret treasure of the sect?" "Secret treasure? I'm a talent, you know nothing." I sneered, and I felt so happy. The power of this move is simple and not too powerful. It seems that Xuantian said it is right. The power of Chaos Green cover is beyond what I see now. Go! Go together! The Ancestor has an order, so he must take this kid back. Qinglianzi found out that his actions were not good, so he simply gave the order. The remaining 3 people gritted their teeth and rushed up. Their spirit fluctuations were stronger than they were just now, and it seemed that they were really serious. I pulled the corner of my mouth, and my spirit gathered again, ready to come and break a few more green leaves, but at this time Xuantian's voice sounded again, "Little brother, don't fight hard. They are many people, and you just wake up your power. Long-term battle will be bad for you. Run behind, there is an entrance to the fairy world. Go in and hide, they don't dare to chase them." "Is the fairy world so good? What's the thing?" I hid from the sword light and asked. "Oh, don't ask so many questions, just run away. That place is a big plain, and I may be able to make you break through again," Xuantian urged. I gritted my teeth, looked at the opportunity, slapped the guy in front of me with a palm, ran back and ran. Qinglianzi and the others chased after him, but the speed was obviously a beat slower. Sure enough, after arriving at the stone door, I saw some strange runes that I couldn't understand, and a feeling of indescribable pressure was circulated. "That's it. Come in," Xuantian said anxiously. I didn't think much about it, and when I opened the stone door, a cold air came over my face. It was pitch black and I couldn't see anything clearly. But behind Qinglianzi and his team were getting closer and closer. I gritted my teeth, dripped in and closed the stone door with my hands. Bang! As the stone door closed, the sound outside was completely separated, as if it had entered another world. I gasped and felt my heartbeat still pounding. When I looked down, there was still a little burning in the palm of my hand. I just had a few blue leaves, and I had a lot of energy to consume. "Little brother, congratulations on escaping." Xuantian's voice sounded, with a little pride. "This place is the edge of the fairy world. After the fairy world collapsed that year, there were many such fragments of space, which contained a large number of machines, but it was also very dangerous. You have to be careful." "Dangerous? How dangerous is it?" I glanced at my eyebrows, and I could only see some broken stone walls around me. There was a strange smell in the air, like rotten or burnt smell. I'm not sure. There may be a slaughter of immortals, a trap, or a baby." Xuantian smiled like a little fox, "But don't worry, I'm here to keep you safe. Let's go there first, Mr. Yan's breath is nearby." I clicked my head and walked forward with my skin. The road inside was turning around and stones fell down from time to time, causing the ground to be bang and made my heart furious. After leaving for about a minute, a group of blue lights suddenly lit up in front of me. I looked closely and saw a pool of water. The surface of the pool was as calm as a mirror, but there was nothing swimming in the water. "What is this?" I squatted down and prepared to reach out and explore. "Don't touch!" Xuantian shouted suddenly. My hand shook and I hurriedly returned. "This is the netherworld cold spring. Touching it will kill you." "But, there is something good under this pool. Qinglianzi has come to her senses. She is a treasure that can help you break through." "Break through? Really or not?" My eyes lit up and my heartbeat was a little faster. "Of course it's true. But you have to pass this cold spring first." It's definitely not possible for ordinary people, but if you have a green seed protection, you should be able to withstand it. Try it? Xuantian encouraged. I gritted my teeth and thought to fight. The spirit moved all over my body, and I felt a warm force wrapped around me, as if I was wearing an invisible armor. I took a deep breath and slowly stepped into the pool water. In an instant, a biting chill came, as if countless beads were pierced into the bones, but I held it hard, sucking the power of the green seeds, and walked step by step to the center of the pool. Just below, reach out to swear. Xuantian said anxiously. I endured the cold and reached out to touch the bottom of the water. Sure enough, I felt something hard and pulled it out. It was a black crystal as big as a palm. The surface was filled with a faint light. It was warm and it was completely different from the cold spring outside. Bottle, what kind of treasure is this? I held the crystal and felt that the spirit in my body was restless, as if I was attracted by something. This is the fairy crystal. The pure and pure fairy air inside it. If you absorb it, your cultivation will directly surge. Xuantian said excitedly, hurry, sit down with your legs and absorb the air. I didn't say anything. I sat by the pool, holding the crystal, and following Xuantian's guidance to move. Sure enough, a terrible energy in the crystal rolled into my palms, like a flood that had opened, instantly slamming my veins. I bit my teeth tightly and held back the pain. The spirit turned wildly in my body. Finally, at a certain moment, the sound of shock seemed to break a barrier and she looked lightly. Breakthrough. Induce air into the middle stage. I suddenly slid my eyes, feeling that my body was full of strength, and the coldness of the pool water was not so harsh. This kind of cool feeling is even more despicable than beating Zhang Quan. Isn't it? That's just now. When you cultivate to a higher level, the more immortal you absorb, the faster you will break through. Xuantian said proudly. I was about to reply, but suddenly there was a low smile coming from far away, as if it was coming from the underground, which made me feel a little behind my back. Young man, you are quite a little arrogant. You dare to enter this fairy world and take the fairy crystal. The voice was old and low, with an indescribable force. However, being able to kill things in the netherworld cold spring makes me a little interested. I suddenly stood up and looked around, but no one saw anyone. He tightened his heart, clenched his fists and shouted, Who? Come out. What's the ability to hide your head and reveal your tail? Ha ha, impatient little guy. With a smile, a figure suddenly walked out of the darkness far away. It was an old man in a gray robe. His hair was white, but his eyes were as bright as a knife. When he stared at me, he seemed to be able to see through my whole body. Xuantian, who is this old man? I asked urgently in my brain. Congratulations, you have found the real master. This is Mr. Yun, an unknown master, and his strength is unpredictable. Xuantian said excitedly, hurry, show good things. Maybe he can teach you some skills that are against the will of heaven. My heart was shocked, and I didn't dare to relax on the surface. I clasped my fists and said respectfully, I'm a name for myself. I'm not offending you, but I just passed here to seek a trick. If you offend me, please feel free to ask. Old Yun glanced at me and smiled at the corner of his mouth. Little guy, you can talk. However, I am not someone who wants to come here. If you take the immortal crystal, you have to pay a little. That's it. I see that you are still good at it, so I will give you a chance. I will be a teacher and learn my magic skills against the will of heaven. God-defying technique? My eyes lit up, and my heart was almost thumping. This is a good thing about losing your baby in the sky. But for some reason, in the smile of Mr. Yun always made me feel a little unfavorable, as if there was something hidden that I couldn't see through. Little brother, please agree to him. Old Yun's martial arts will definitely make you suddenly and violently. Xuantian urged in his brain. I gritted my teeth and said, okay, forward, if you really want to give me a point, I, Lin Hao, will do my best and not be overwhelmed. Old Yun laughed and slammed his hand, okay, it's great. But learning my skills is not that simple. I'll close it first, and then say it. After he said that, he raised his hand and an invisible pressure came towards me in an instant, as if the whole mountain was pressing on his body. I almost knelt down with both legs. Trouble, what is this? I bit my teeth tightly and held my back, and my heart was filled with shock waves. How terrifying is this old man's strength? Old Yun's invisible pressure pressed against me like a mountain. I bit my teeth tightly, and my legs were shaking like crumbs, but I didn't kneel down. Sweat flowed down the tiny head, dripping on the cold stone floor, and a fire ignited in my heart. This old man is indeed not simple. But I, Lin Hao, are not the ones I just admire. I am afraid of the chaos green body in my hand. Little brother, don't resist it. Modify the power of the green treasure and fight this pressure. Xiaoqing's voice sounded in my brain, carrying a little excited. Old Yun is trying to find you, showing good things. Maybe he will teach you awesome martial arts when he is excited. Okay, let's try it. My heart swelled, and I closed my eyes and felt the spirit inside my body. The power of the chaos green covered seed was like a warm river, instantly rushing into my limbs and bones. I suddenly slid my eyes and sniffed, and the green light burst out from me, as if I was holding up an invisible shield, which forced the pressure of Mr. Yun to halfway. Oh? It's a bit meaningful. Old Yun narrowed his eyes, shook his beard, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Little guy, the foundation is good. This force is a bit like the breath of ancient Qinglu. No wonder he can take a baby in the cold spring. I gasped, wiped my sweat, and clasped my fists and said, I promised it. I wonder if I have this connection, is it considered too much? Old Yun laughed and slapped his hand, and the pressure disappeared instantly. I just felt that I was lightning and almost stood firm. He slapped his beard and pointed, I've passed it, I've passed it. Little guy, your power is not easy to come. I have lived for so many years, but I still saw that someone could take over 30% of my power. Okay, from now on, you will be my old Yun's apprentice. I was delighted, and on the surface I didn't dare to express it too clearly, so I gave a respectful gift. Thank you, Master. Disciple Lin Hao, I will definitely not be responsible for Master's teaching. Don't be hurried, listen to me first. Old Yun slammed his hand, with a deep meaning in his language. I can't learn this technique by anyone. It is called Qinglian 9 turns. It is practiced so well that one palm can break mountains and rivers, and one foot can break through the empty space. But the cultivation process is very fierce. If you are not careful, you have to stop and become a waste. Do you dare to try it? I was shocked when I heard it, broken mountains and rivers, and stepped on the sky. This is too exaggerated. But when I thought of the old face of the ancestor Xuantian and the sarcasm from the same door, I clenched my fist and gritted my teeth and said, Dare. Master, I am not afraid of death, I just want to be stronger and take revenge. Okay. I have ambition. Old Yun's eyes flashed with appreciation. With a swipe, a golden light group flew in front of me and floated in the air. This is Qinglianzi's approach to the door. Accept it first and practice it. 3 days later, I will test you again. If you fail to practice, don't blame me for snatching you out. I took the light group and felt aroused in my heart. Starting with the light group, the tiller turned into a warm current and dripped into the brain. The countless obscure mouths and patterns came into the eyes, as if they were directly engraved into the brain. I sat down with my legs, closed my eyes and realized, and my spirit and my body moved according to my mouth, gradually forming a small vortex, with its strength being more than twice as strong as before. After 3 days of turning my eyes, I was completely immersed in the cultivation and suddenly forgot the coldness and dangers of the outside world. When I opened my eyes quietly, I felt like my body was stolen from the body and bones, and my spirit was running around the veins, as if I was about to explode. Old Yun stood far away, and saw me wake up, and pointed at me. It's not wrong, the practice of entering the door has been completed. Now, I will demonstrate it to me to see if you have been secretly cheating in the past 3 days. I stood up, took a deep breath, and according to the number of Qinglian 9 turn paths, the spirit gathered in the palm of my palm, and slapped the stone wall next to me with a palm. Room. With a loud noise, I took a big hole in the stone wall, and the gravel was flying, and the cold spring behind old Yun was shaken and wafted. Ha ha, okay. Little guy, your talent is indeed not bad. Boss Yun laughed. This palm has already 30% of the power of Qingyun. Plus your green cord power, in time, you will definitely be able to flatten those guys who bully you. I heard the blood boiling, and I clenched my fists tightly, thinking, Ancestor Xuantian, wait, I am not the one I used to be. I'll settle this account with you very early. Master, I want to go back to Xuantian sect and find the scene I used to do. I said bluntly, my eyes full of fire. Old Yun glanced at me and said slowly, go back? Okay, but I remind you that the old thing of the Ancestor Xuantian is not easy to deal with, and there are still many tough things under your hands. Although you have made progress now, you are still almost in a tough situation. But I have had a chance to have a chance with the Ancestor Xuantian at that time, so it would be impossible to help you. Master, are you serious? My eyes lit up and my heart was almost thumping. Wow, when did I cheat someone? Old Yun snorted, and with a flash of his hand, a green light hit my body. This is my long spiritual power, which can protect your life at any time. In addition, you have not fully mastered the power of the green lily. On the way back, practice the skills I teach you more to ensure that those little kids are scared and urinate. I looked like garlic, and my heart was filled with flowers. With the backstage of Mr. Yun, and the power of Qinglianzi and Qingli, who am I afraid of? Xuantian sect, Lin Hao, are back. Say goodbye to old Yun. I returned along the road of the fairy world. As he said, the spirit became stronger and stronger, and the power of the green trunk was surging in my body, as if to break a certain boundary. When I returned to the foot of Xuantianzong mountain, I looked down and saw a blue flower pattern appearing in my palm, and a force that destroyed the sky and the earth was moistening. I grinned and thought to myself, what a dream, it's beginning. Who is there? Stop. At the entrance of the mountain gate, 2 disciples guarding me saw me, pulled out the long sword, pointed at my nose and shouted, Lin Hao? Do you dare to come back like this waste? My ancestor has an order, see you fight and roll, otherwise don't blame us for being rude. Waste? My mouth is so smelly. I sneered, and the pressure didn't pay attention to them and walked straight in. Those 2 guys saw me without any attention, and my face was green, so I just came over. Looking for death. One of them stabbed me in the chest with a slight breath and a voice. I didn't even raise my eyelids. With a swipe, the green neck turned into a light curtain. With a bang, the long sword broke into 2 pieces. The guy was shocked and fell to the ground to vomit blood. What? How is this possible? Another disciple guarding the door was so scared that his legs were soft and he couldn't even handle the sword. Tell your master, Lin Hao is back, let him clean his neck and wait. I snorted coldly, raised my feet and stepped on it, and a zipper broke directly on the ground. The 2 of them were afraid to climb into the sect to report. I walked into Xuantian sect step by step. When the disciples along the way saw me, their faces were all unbelievable. Some people whispered, some pointed at me, but no one dared to swear. After all, they saw the feelings of the 2 disciples who guarded the door. Lin Hao. You are so brave, you really dare to come back and die. Suddenly, a roar came from the front, and Zhang Kuang, the guy, led a group of inner disciples, and the weapon in his hand was shining with a flash of cold light. It seems that I was beaten up by me in Shanwei last time and I was looking for teeth, so I didn't remember much. Zhang Kuang, why? I want to be beaten again after being injured. I stopped and sneered at the corner of my mouth. The spirit inside my body had begun to become restless. Stop talking. Last time you left the shit, today I brought my brothers and I must beat you up. Zhang Kuang's face turned blue and pointed, go on, wipe him. More than 10 inner disciples came from the shore of the horse, and their spiritual fluctuations were stronger than Qinji's previous help. It seemed that they were the elite of Xuantian sect. I glanced at it and it was nothing serious. The Qinglian 9 turning heart method moved, and the power of the Qingyuan exploded instantly. The whole person seemed to be wrapped in a layer of blue flame, and the air directly crushed the whole scene. Crash! I sniffed softly and slapped out with my palm. The broken light gushed out like a flood. Several disciples on their heads did not react, and were directly swept, hitting the stone pillars on both sides, vomiting blood and falling to the ground. Zhang Kuanyue looked like he almost glared out and shouted, "Go together! I don't believe he can hit more than 10. Try a dozen or so each. Let you see what it means to crush the enemy today." I sneered, my body flashed, and it was as fast as a ghost, rushing into the crowd, with the fists and feet added together, and each hit was filled with the explosive power of the green cage. Those inner disciples were not opponents at all. During the breathing period, they were full of wailing, their noses and faces were blue, and they were all powerless to get up. Zhang Kuang was kicked over by me, covering his chest, and his voice was trembling. "Lin Hao, why are you so strong? This is impossible." "Impossible? I've said a long time ago, why did you step on me? Today I'll double down on you and come back." I looked at him from a high place, saying word by word, "Tell the ancestor Xuantian, Lin Hao, have come back. I want to find him to count the general." After saying that, I shook my sleeves and continued to walk towards the main hall. When the disciples along the way saw this scene, they were already shocked and retreated, and no one dared to do so. The news was spread quickly. Not long after, a large number of helpers had gathered in front of the hall. The one who led was the disciples of the ancestor Xuantian, and the one who was so proud. "Lin Hao, you really have a jealous person coming back like this." Xiao Wenji was wearing a black robe, swelling up, holding a long gun in his hand, pointing directly at me. "Once you close, you don't deserve him like this kind of garbage. Today, Xiao Wenji, clean up the door for master." "Clean the door? Just fuck you?" I narrowed my eyes and felt the pressure coming from the other party was much stronger than Zhang Kuang's help. But I was not afraid in my heart. The 9 green clouds were turning to the extreme, and the power of the green clouds gathered in my palms into a blooming flower, scattering terrifying waves. "Stop talking, die!" Zhao Wuji snorted coldly, and his long gun shook, and the gun shadow was like a dragon, thrusting straight into my chest, so fast that the air was torn apart, making a sharp and broken sound. "Good!" I shouted loudly, and my body did not retreat and turned around. The green light burst out with all my strength. The blue light collided with the gun. With a spin, a big pit was blown out of the ground in front of the hall, and smoke was everywhere. Zhao Wuyan was shocked and took a few steps back, his face turned blue, and I just shook my wrists and squinted at the corner of my mouth. Even if I have such a little ability, can I dare to give up the head for the ancestor Xuantian? Mix. Zhao was so angry that his face was twisted. The long gun stabbed out again. This time the spirit wave became stronger, and there was no lightning, as if he was as strong as possible. I sneered. Qinglianzi turned the second round, and an invisible aerial field formed around my body, forcibly slapped his attack, then punched it out, and directly hit the gun. Crack! The long gun cried out, and Zhao Wuyan was shocked and fell on the hall platform, spitting out a mouthful of blood. All the disciples around him were stunned and shocked. Who is still unwilling to accept it? Come up and try. I stood up straight, looking around. The sound was as cold as ice, and the air was so stressed that no one in the audience dared to say a sound. The feeling of pleasure in my heart is so simple. Wu Chai, who was first stepped on the bottom of his foot, finally stood up today and stepped back all these so-called geniuses. Just as I was about to enter the hall and look for the ancestor Xuantian to calculate his reputation, a terrifying breath suddenly burst out from the depths of the hall, accompanied by a roar. Lin Hao. When I closed my mouth, you dare to hurt my disciple. If you don't break you for thousands of pieces today, it will be difficult to eliminate my hatred. My heart was tightened, and I looked up and saw a black shadow floating above the hall. It was the ancestor Xuantian. The eyes were full of murder, as if they could swallow me. The breath of the ancestor Xuantian was crushed like a mountain, and the air above the hall seemed to have been frozen. making the disciples around him breathless. His old face was full of sluts, and his eyes were filled with murderous sluts, as if he wanted to tear me to pieces immediately. The black-robed key was hit, and an ancient long sword in his hand appeared slowly. The sword was full of dark runes. The light flashed, and the entire hall was covered with air bulbs, and the ground was cracked and the details were cracked. Lin Hao, you dare to come back and act wildly. Hurt my disciples and ruin the rules of my sect. Today I will wipe you out with my hands, so that you can know what it means to be tall and thick. Xuantian Ancestor's voice was like thunder, which made my ears buzz. Every word was filled with spirit waves, scraping my face like a knife. I stood firm and carried this pressure, and my heart didn't retreat a little. I remember the humiliation of being slapped by this old man with a palm and slapping out of the sect today. Now, with Chaos Green Leaf in hand, Qinglianzi turned over, and he still had the power to protect his body. Am I still afraid that you will never die? Ancestor Xuantian, don't do anything in that tweet. How did you humiliate me at the beginning? Today I will give it twice as much. I sneered, and the spirit inside my body was swept wildly. The power of the green treasure gathered in my palms into a blooming green treasure flower, emitting terrifying waves. At the same time, the Qinglianzi turning heart method was extremely effective, and the whole person seemed to be wrapped in a layer of green flames, and his atmosphere was not lost to the other party. Humph, the sharp-tongued boy, let me see where you are like this waist. Xuantian Ancestor snorted angrily, and the long sword slammed, and the sword light was like a rainbow, slashing straight down. The drama turned into a black giant dragon, roaring towards me, and the ground along the way was torn into 2.5. The power was so terrifying that the disciples around him retreated in a row, and their faces turned pale. Good! I shouted loudly, stepped on my feet, and a big pit exploded on the ground, and my body was like a computer rising into the sky. The green light burst out with all its strength, and the blue light collided with the black giant dragon. A huge shock sound was so loud that the shock wave directly lifted the stone slabs in the main hall and smoked everywhere. I was shocked and took a few steps back. My palms were slightly numb, but a fire ignited in my heart. This old thing really has a little bit of a tunnel. Huh? Can I actually take a ball with me? Xuantian Ancestor narrowed his eyes and a flash of surprise on his face, but he immediately sneered, but this is the beginning. Next, I want you to live and die. As the voice fell, his figure flashed and turned into a black shadow. The long swords were surrounded by dozens of sword lights, each of which was carrying the power to tear the air and came densely towards me. I bit my teeth tightly, and the force of the green trunk turned into a light curtain to protect my body. At the same time, I used my fists and feet to smash the slap lights one by one. Although I was reluctantly pushing, every time I hit, the blood in my body was surging, and the pressure was as strong as if it was about to explode. Little brother, don't resist. This old guy's cultivation is much taller than you, so just fight for food. Xiaoqing's voice sounded in my brain, with a hurried look. Use Qinglianzi's body technique to hold him up, and then find a chance to use the power of Qinglu to explode and give him a hard. Okay, I'll hear you. My heart suffocated, and the steadily transformed the war. The body of the Qinglianzi opened, and his body was like a ghost, moving through the sword light, avoiding and counterattacking at the moment. Although it seemed a bit wolfish, it did not allow the Xuantian Ancestor to succeed. The disciples in Zhou were stunned. Who could have thought that the bullied Wu Chai could fight with the Ancestor even if he could be reunited? Lin Hao! What are you running like? Someone fights head-on with me. Xuantian Ancestor was furious by me. When the long sword shook, the whole sky darkened. No number of shadows gathered into a huge sword, which made the air swish and directly killed me in the center, with no way to escape. Run? I have never wanted to run. Today is your death. I sneered, feeling the pressure of the sword, and the spirit in my body was rushing wildly. The power of the green trunk exploded to the extreme at this moment. The green trunk flower in the palm became brighter and brighter, emitting a breath that destroyed the sky and the earth. The long spiritual power that Mr. Yin gave me was also activated at this moment, turning into a golden light and integrating into my body. The power suddenly exploded, like a whole person who had lost his fetus and changed his bones. The green leaves are broken, blow it up. I roared angrily, and my palms suddenly pushed out. The green leaves turned into a pillar of light, carrying an unrivaled power, directly slamming the center of the storm. Wherever the light column passed, the shadow shattered inch by inch, and a black crack was torn into pieces from the air. The huge rumble response spans the entire Xuantian sect, and the sword was directly destroyed into pieces. The ancestor Xuantian was shocked to retreat 10 steps. The long sword buzzed the fat bird, and a silk of blood actually burst out from the corner of his mouth. What? All the disciples around Zhou were stunned, and even Wu Yan's face turned like a ghost. The ancestor Xuantian, the top boss of the sect, was actually forced to vomit blood by Lin Hao. Is this mother still the waste? Lin Hao. How could you have such power? Xuantian Ancestor covered his chest, and finally saw a hint of jealousy in his eyes, and his voice was trembling with a little bit of trembling. How is that possible? Old guy, this is the price you looked down on me at first. I gasped. Although that blow had consumed most of my spirit just now, I felt so happy when I saw the wolf-like slut of the ancestor Xuantian. At this moment, the scene of being humiliated in the hall flashed through the brain like a movie replay. My fists were clenched, and my eyes were full of coldness. Missing. I must kill you today. Xuantian Ancestor was irritated and roared with gritted teeth. The spirit inside his body was violent, and the runes on the long sword were shining brightly. The whole person seemed to be burning, and his atmosphere surged again. It was obvious that he used some secret technique to fight with me. Kill me? Come and try it. I snorted coldly, and the power of the Chaos Green cover was urged to the extreme. The green light covered the whole body, as if it was covered with a layer of war armor. Every move of Qinglian 9 turns flowed in the brain. I took a deep breath and stepped on my feet. My whole person turned into a blue light and rushed towards Xuantian Ancestor. Ji. With a huge sound, the ancestor Xuantian and I were in a crazy confrontation in the sky above the hall. Each hit caused the ground to shake, and the spirit waves caused a violent storm, blowing the disciples around us. Although the ancestor Xuantian's breath was soaring, my green hole power was like a bottomless pit, constantly exploding, and every time he collided, it made his face even harder to see. Old guy, your era is gone, and I will send you on the way today. I grabbed a broken hole, flashed my body, avoided his sword light, and punched him hard in the chest. The power of the green trunk condensed into a little on the fist, bursting out a dazzling light. With a bang, the ancestor Xuantian's chest sank directly. The whole person flew out like a broken wind, smashing hard on the top of the hall, smashing a big hole, and the blood fog sprayed, and the scene was silenced. Old ancestor. Zhao Wuyan and a disciple exclaimed in surprise, their faces as white as paper, as if they had seen a ghost. They never expected that the ancestor Xuantian, a tycoon who has been standing in the sect for 100 years, would be severely injured by Lin Hao with one punch. I floated in the air, my body was almost exhausted, but looking at the half-dead old ancestor Xuantian's face, the affliction in my heart finally became empty. I looked at the whole scene coldly, and my voice was low, who else is not convinced? Stand out. The whole field was filled with soundlessness, and no one dared to say a sound, and even Wuyan lowered his head, his eyes full of fear. Those disciples who had ridiculed me and bullied me were even more shocked, and some of them knelt directly on the ground, trembling. Lin Hao, you dare to hurt me. The ancestor Xuantian got up from the ruins, covered in blood, hissing, his eyes full of resentment. I have been living in the fairy world for 100 years, how can I die in the hands of you, the waste? Waste? Ha, now see clearly, who is the waste? I walked towards him step by step, and the power of the green treasure gathered again. Although there was not much power left, it was enough to suppress a severely injured ancestor Xuantian. You swept me away with a palm, saying that I defiled the reputation of the sect. Today, I want you to pay for this sentence. Stop. I'm sorry, please give me my life. Xuantian's ancestor was afraid of killing me, and he was finally afraid. His voice was full of requests, and he was not as powerful as a big boss. You're so late. I sneered, raised my hand and slapped it with a palm. The last blow burst out, and the green light was like a knife, directly piercing his body. With a bang, the body of the ancestor Xuantian exploded and turned into a bloody fog. Even the soul could not escape, and it fell to pieces. The whole scene was as quiet as death. Everyone was stunned, with unbelievable eyes. Is Xuantian Ancestor dead? This top-level boss in the fairy world was actually crushed by Lin Hao. At this moment, I became the god in their eyes, and no one dared to see it directly. Little brother, you did a pretty job. You finally solved this old thing. From now on, you are the first person in the era of spiritual recovery. Xiaoqing's voice sounded in my brain, full of excitement. Look at these people, who dares to underestimate you? I gasped, my body was almost dry, but my heart was filled with an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. Looking at the whole scene, those who once had enemies and those who laughed at me now did not dare to say a word. My lips sneered and said coldly, from today on, Xuantian sect will change its surname to Lin. If you are not convinced, stand up and I will accompany you at any time. As the voice fell, all the disciples in the field knelt down and shouted in unison, Sect Master Lin is mighty. We are willing to pursue the sect master and never betray. The sound spread across the sky, and the mountains far away echoed. Zhao Wu gritted his teeth. Although he was unwilling to accept it, he could only kneel down and lowered his head and said, Xingzhu Lin, I was blind in the past. Please don't remember the villain, and I will kill you. You? Okay, remember, from now on, everyone in Xuantian sect will have to listen to me. I snorted coldly, ignored him, turned to the highest point of the hall, overlooking the entire sect. The wind blew over, the robe and the keys were heard, and at this moment, I finally stood on the peak. A few days later, the news that Xuantian sect changed its name to Qinglianzi sect spread throughout the world of immoral cultivation, and Lin Hao's name became a legend that no one knew and no one was afraid of. Some people say I am the first person to revive, and some people say I am the real master of the immoral world, but no matter what, those who once looked down on me can only look up to me now, and there is no courage to mention my name. I stood at the highest peak of Qinglianzi sect, looking at the clouds flying far away, holding the Chaos Green Lotus Seeds in my hand, and I felt no pride in my heart. Because I know that this is just the beginning, the era of spiritual revival, the resurrection of the immoral world, and more powerful people are waiting for me to challenge. But no matter how difficult the road ahead is, I, Lin Hao, will not retreat. After all, this world is ultimately the stage for the strong. Little brother, where are you going to fuck me next? Go to the immoral world to get a deeper distance, or do you want to mess up Qinglian sect first? Xiaoqing's voice sounded again, with a little skin. I grinned and my eyes were fixed, first settle down, then. Of course, I'm going to the fairy world to get all the treasures, so that no one in this world dares to fight me. After saying that, I clenched my fist tightly, and the force of the green neck flowed in my body, as if it was foreshadowed a new legend, about to kick off. But that's all afterthought.